Welcome YouTube to another D&D Fridays, where today we'll be taking a look at the entirety of the wizard subclass, all double-digit subclasses of that. So today we'll be taking a look at the part one, which should cover a bulk of the PHP subclasses, and then next week we'll take a look at finishing up the PHP and taking a look at Xanathar's and Tasha's. But before we get to that, don't forget to hit that notification bell, subscribe to this channel, comment on down below on what you think about the wizard subclasses, and don't forget to share. Without further ado, let's get to it. So when it comes to wizards, they're what we call the bookworm of D&D. They're one of the very few highly intellectual classes within D&D actually valuing the intelligence stat. And they're full casters, so they get up to 9th level spell slots. But they're pretty weak physically. They don't have any proficiencies in any armor and only have a d6 of hit die. So, with the exception of one subclass, don't take this class anywhere near melee whatsoever, unless you feel like rolling up a new character in about 10 minutes.
Hulk smash wizard, huh?
Very true, very true. And when I think of a wizard, I really think of those librarian-ish type of folks who's always reading through endless bounds of different books and the like. To a degree, maybe somebody like Doctor Strange could be an interesting wizard, or or maybe a little bit more of a stretch wizard could be maybe like the Planeswalker Jace or something like that. Could be another wizard.
Just ignore the fact that Doctor Strange is Sorcerer Supreme. He does gain a lot of his knowledge from books. So
yeah, he's probably technically considered a sorcerer, but he's probably more so wizardy in terms of what he does. So when it comes to the wizard, of course, they have saving throw, proficiency, and wisdom and intelligence. So all of those nasty mind altering stuff is going to be not as frightening to a wizard. Of course, you get to choose proficiency in things like Arcana, History, Religion, a lot of your intellectual type of ability checks. And if you're playing a wizard, the party's probably going to look to you to pick up that proficiency in Arcana. So that's a really good one to pick up.
Yep.
So a couple of different things. So the base wizard subclass don't really get a lot of different abilities or features. They get a lot of their stuff through either their spells that they pick up or through their subclasses. So first off, they get a spell book, which contains all of their spells. So the thing, unlike other spellcasters, where they might know or be able to prepare their spells on the fly, wizards know their cantrips, but need to write their level spells inside of a spell book. So if for whatever reason you lose or destroy or whatever your spell book and you don't have a backup one, you lose all of your level spelled knowledge and can only cast cantrips until you can start to replace that spell book. So that's definitely a good thing to keep in mind. So keep it away from fire, water, stuff like that. Unless you either have ways to protect it from that or you do some simulacrum shenanigans at higher levels. So when it comes to that spell book, whenever you find different spell scrolls within the game, you can copy it down in your spell book, taking about an hour and about 50 GP of gold per per spell. So they're pretty time and gold GP intensive class. So definitely keep that in mind. But once you get past that, they're a very versatile class to play. Also, they get arcane recovery on pretty early on first level actually, and pretty much whenever you take short rest, you regain up to half of your wizard level and spell slots. Um, but those spells can't be 6th level or higher. So, for instance, you're a 3rd level wizard, you can gain either a level 2 and a level 1 spell slot, or 3 level 1 spell slots. So that's pretty good. It gives them a little bit more longevity when it comes to casting spells. And also, one of the other main things is their capstone on level 20 is signature spells. So they choose 2 3rd level spells, and they're always prepared for them and don't count against the number of spells that they can prepare. So that's pretty good in of itself. And in addition to that, you can cast each one of them at their lowest form, so 3rd level, without expending a spell slot once per day. So that's pretty good. Now, of course, you could expend them as usual, upcast them as usual, but a free casting of 2 3rd level spells is pretty good, especially combined with the fact that 3rd level is one of the best levels for spells. Things like counterspell, dispel magic, fly, haste, hypnotic pattern, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of good stuff that you can really cast for free once per day, depending on what you need.
Agreed.
So when it comes to their subclasses, let's start off with the School of Abjuration subclass. This subclass is all about really defending your party from particularly enemy spellcasters. So, so for instance, one of their things on 10th level is improved abjuration. Whenever you cast an abjuration spell that requires an ability check as part of casting that spell, you can add your proficiency bonus to that spell cast. So, for instance, if you're trying to end some effect or stop the effect via dispel magic or counterspell, you now add your proficiency bonus on top of your intelligence bonus to that check to stop that spell, which is huge. When you get that, that's automatically an extra +4 right out off the gate to those checks, which is amazing. But those are 2 very good spells nonetheless. And to be able to shut down something like hypnotic pattern and stuff like that, it's golden, very golden.
Yeah, that's a great skill to have. One of the ones that I like in this subclass is Arcane Ward, which you get at 2nd level, but then at 6th level you actually get an enhancement to it. So Arcane Ward lets whenever you cast an abjuration spell at 1st level or higher, you can simultaneously use a strand of that spell's magic to create a magical ward on yourself, which lasts until you finish a long rest. The ward has hit points associated to it, which would be twice your wizard level plus your intelligence modifier. And when you take damage, it goes to the ward instead until that is reduced to 0 points. And then at 6th level, you basically get to throw your ward to protect somebody that's within 30 feet of you. So it fits in very nicely with the School of Abjuration here, and I think it's a pretty neat little skill to have.
Yeah, I personally think so too. It's a very good thing to have, and also just a little bit of a added bonus to this class is on 14th level you gain spell resistance, so you have resistance against the damage of spells. So it won't be effective against every spell, but against those evocation spells, it's going to be very useful to cut fireballs, lightning bolts, sunbeams, all that stuff in half, which is going to be very good.
Yes, very good.
And next up, we have the School of Conjuration. Now, when it comes to the whole School of Conjuration, is on 2nd level you have Minor Conjuration. So basically, you can use your action to conjure up an inanimate object within your on within your grasp or hand or within the ground within 10 feet of you. No larger than 3 feet on any side, weighs no more than 10 pounds. Form must be that of a non magical object that you've seen, but it's visibly magical out to 5 feet. Um, Now, the cool thing about this is it rewards the creative player. Like one of the most simplistic uses of it is you're stuck in a jail cell. Just figure out a plan to just see the key that you used to unlock your jail cell. Wait until the guards turn around, conjure up that key, unlock your jail cell, walk on out.
Yeah, sneaky little wizard. I think one of the other really neat skills in this class or in this subclass is benign transposition. You get this skill starting at 6th level, and it lets you use your action to teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space, or you can actually swap spaces with a smaller, medium-sized creature. And so I think there's a lot of utility to this, right? If you've got a medium-sized creature attacking one of your friends, you can just be like, whoop, nope, no more. You're over there 30 feet away. Bye-bye. Or it lets you, if you need to retreat, it gives you an extra 30 feet of movement, essentially, that you could utilize if you need to pull a retreat. So I think it's a neat little, again, a nice little skill that in this subclass.
I agree. A lot of extra little utilities within it.
Yep.
The next up is the School of Divination Wizard. This is all about the School of Divination magic, which is a common theme among all the subclasses within the PHP Wizard. So one of the probably most famous powers of the Divination Wizard is what you get on second level, the Portent dice. So you start off with 2d20s and later on 3d20s that you roll after a long rest. Note down the result that you get, and at any point before the next long rest, I should say, you can substitute the value you got on any one of those die with with the value that you get for a ability check, attack roll, save and throw. That could be used for you, an ally, on an enemy, whatever, any target. So let's say you rolled a 19 and a 3, and you have a champion fighter in your party. Just say, all right, during one of these turns, I'm going to grant you a 19 on your attack roll for that instant crit for you. Next turn, I really need to hypnotic pattern this one guy. I'm going to force that guy to have a 3 on their save and throw to fail that hypnotic pattern or whatever spell it is. So it is a little bit of you're not sure what you're going to get for the next day, but once you know, it can be very useful. Although if you happen to roll like a 12, it's a little bit difficult to choose when to use that, but thankfully that's just a number on the dice that's affected by modifiers as well. So a 12 plus whatever could possibly still hit or save or something like that.
Right. It's still a nice little bonus skill to have. And I can say that there's been a few times where our divination wizard has saved me with a portent die. So it's been really nice. Another neat little skill that you get with this subclass is the third eye. Starting at 10th level, you actually get to increase your powers of perception. And it lasts until you're incapacitated or you take a short or long rest. And you can't use it again until you take that rest. But you can either get dark vision at 60 feet, ethereal sight within 60 feet, so you can see into the ethereal plane, greater comprehension, so you can read any language, or see invisibility. And that see invisibility is only within 10 feet and within line of sight. But I think there's a lot of interesting use cases for this skill, and I think there's a lot of role play potential with it. So I really like it.
Yeah. And and if you happen to be like a variant human or dragonborn or something like that, that solves your dark vision problem.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Next up, we have the School of Enchantment Wizard. So this is all about the enchantment type of spells, so things like whole person and stuff like that. So they get a couple of interesting things. Um, so one thing that I kind of like is on 10th level their split enchantment feature. Basically, whenever you cast an enchantment spell of first level or higher, that targets only one creature. You can target it a second time. So it's kind of like a specific twin spell from sorcerers, but only for enchantment spells. So basically, you can say, all right, I'm going to hold person this guy and that guy at the same time, or dominate person that guy and that guy at the same time. So they
Yeah,
can really have a lot of good uses.
I think that's being able to quote unquote twin cast any spell is really nice. So I really like the level 14 skill that you gain with this subclass, Alter Memories. Um, you basically get the opportunity to uh, alter the creature's understanding so that it remains unaware of being charmed when you ever cast a charm type of spell against a creature. And then before the spell actually expires, you can use your action to try and make the chosen creature forget that it was even charmed. So not only do they don't realize it when it's happening, you can make them forget it, which is really, really neat. So for the creature to be able to, the creature must succeed on an intelligence saving throw against your spell DC, or lose a number of hours of its memories equal to 1 plus your charisma modifier. So it's always going to forget the last hour no matter what. Um, you can make the creature forget less time, and the amount of time cannot exceed the duration of your enchantment spell, right? So if you really want to go like 5 minutes, you can only do 5 minutes, but the way that the save DC works is 1 plus your charisma modifier. So you could just say, hey, you don't know what you've been doing for the last hour. Sorry.
Uh, One thing I can see this use is pairing this with like a rogue or somebody like that. So, all right, I need you to go steal from this shop. Don't worry, the owner won't remember a thing if you screw up your sleight of hand check.
There you go. That's that. Yeah, that would definitely help with that.
So next we have the School of Evocation Wizard. This is all about the blasty type of mage. So a couple of things that they do get. Basically, on second level, they get sculpt spells. So basically, they can choose a number of other creatures, typically allies, equal to one plus the spell level. And basically, they automatically succeed on their spell saving throws against a spell, and they take no damage against that. So you don't have to ever worry about strategically placing your fireballs, your lightning bolts, stuff like that, as long as they're coming from the evocation spell. So it makes those AoE type of spells a lot easier to place down and to cast, especially in cramped quarters.
Yeah, this is a great skill. Very great skill. Um, Making sure that your fireball misses your party is thumbs up in my book. Thumbs up. Um, for me, I'm gonna have to jump to the 14th level skill that you gain, over channel. Right? You get the double whammy here. So you increase the power of your simpler spells. So whenever you cast a spell of first through fifth level, you just deal maximum damage with that spell no matter what. Just max it out. You're good. Thank you for coming and playing. The first time you do, though, no adverse side effect. But if you use it again before you long rest, you take 2d12 necrotic damage for each level of the spell immediately after you cast it. Right? So that's quite a bit of damage, but I think it fits really well into the flavor of what you're trying to do here, right? Um, you you're overexerting yourself to deal twice the, essentially maximum damage on those spells that you cast. And sure, you might be taking a little bit of damage when you do it, but if you're in a dire situation, hey, what's a little bit of necrotic damage? Come on, you're beating you're beating up the bad guy. So
The one thing I will say about that though is be very careful about using it too many times though, because remember, as a wizard, you do have a D6 hit die, so that's something to keep in mind with the first time of taking the necrotic damage for a minute. You're probably going to be fine, but past that, it's probably good to really think about the pros and cons and make that decision for yourself. But it's still a very good spell nonetheless. Upcast your fireball to 5th level and max out all of those 10d6s.
Yep.
So next up, we have the School of Illusion subclass for the wizard. So school is all about illusions. So your phantasmal force and all that type of stuff. So one of the cool things about this is on 6th level you get malleable illusion. And basically, what that says is whenever you cast an illusion spell that has a cast or duration of a minute or longer, on preceding turns, you can use your action, or on the same turn if you somehow cast it with a bonus action. But basically, you use your action to change the nature of that illusion, provided that you can see the illusion. So that could be very good to really change up how that illusion works based on what you're trying to do and based on your surroundings and enemies and stuff of that nature. So I think that's kind of cool to add a little bit of extra flavor to it.
Yeah, I think that's really neat, and I really think at 14th level, the malleable illusions really folds into what happens when you get illusory reality at 14th level. You can cast an illusion spell of 1st level or higher. You can choose an inanimate non-magical object that is part of the illusion and make the object real. You can even do this as a bonus action while the spell is ongoing on your turn, which is great. And the object remains real for 1 minute. So if you need, a bridge to get to escape from some monster, and there's a big canyon in the way, your wizard friend can build that bridge, make it real for 1 minute. Better get across it in 1 minute, or you're going to be falling into that canyon. But
everybody, quick jump on the monk's back.
Right, basically, right. Or even your example you used earlier with the key example, right? You can just imagine the key and it can be real, and you can unlock that cell, right? So I think there's a lot of utility to this capstone skill for the School of Illusion wizard.
I agree. And who doesn't like causing fear in their opponents through some mind altering illusions? Yes, I'm looking at you, Harry Houdini. Or am I looking at you?
That's the question.
Next up, we have a flare of death coming your way with the School of Necromancy. So this is all about death and decay and stuff like that, kind of similar to maybe like the Death Cleric or something like that. So when it comes to this, they got a couple of useful things. So on 10th level, you get inured to undeath. So you have resistance to necrotic damage, which is useful. Your hit point maximum can't be reduced, and so that's kind of helpful on 2 common things that undead typically uses. So if you happen to be going within the whole theme of an undead campaign, going up against a lich or something like that, um, playing through Tome of Annihilation, and you know you're gonna fight off a Serac at the end. That's gonna be kind of useful,
Yep, very useful.
especially if you combine this class with the Abjuration Wizard. So it's definitely gonna help out your longevity quite a bit.
Definitely. I want to go back down to what one of the skills that you get at level 2. I think this is a great skill. I think it's really thematic. Grim Harvest. You basically can reap life energy from the creatures you kill with your spells. Just whoop, let me heal up a little bit. Oh, you hit me? Not anymore. I'm back up. So once per turn, when you kill one or more creatures with a spell of first level or higher, you gain hit points equal to twice the spell's level or 3 times its level if the spell belongs to the school of necromancy. Um, you don't get it if you kill undead or constructs, right? So it has to be a living creature. But I think that is extremely flavorful. I think it fits great in this subclass for this wizard, and in my mind, it just seems really cool. I think it's just a really cool skill.
Agreed. Agreed. Now I think about it, it would be interesting to have a party of a Oathbreaker Paladin, Death Death Domain Cleric, Domain Cleric, and School of Necromancy Wizard. Just bringing death everywhere you go
Yeah,
and
yeah.
animating them right back up under your control.
Essentially, the four horsemen. Yeah.
I might need to think about that for a campaign now. Anyways, that's going to be it for part 1 of the Wizard subclasses. Stay tuned for next week while we take a look at the rest of the Wizard subclasses and finish up everything, and we'll be good to go. And until then, folks, keep your lives geeky.
Bye, everyone.